Hi everyone. Today I'm going to cover Beware of Secrets, a series, a four-part series, and it is around Azure AD managed identities. I'm going to pick some popular Azure services, one being the Logic Apps, Azure Data Factory, and App Services, which is very popular. And then uh, all these three services to demonstrate, and also they use either consume a blob storage or Azure SQL Server. Uh, uh, I'm going to cover in detail on the next slide. So, okay, the secure Azure app service or any services by not storing credentials in any of the configurations, which is not secure to keep your secrets in the configuration. The reason being they can be exposed through any of the source controls or whether it is a GitHub private or public repositories. So the best way to handle that is through using the Azure managed identities. So if you look at the right side, uh, when you see here, there are three apps on the right. One being the Azure Logic app, and then another one is Data Factory, another one is App Service. So they all connected through one Azure Active Directory. So then within Active Directory, there are two managed identities are managed in two aspects. One is as system managed identity, other one is user managed identity. System managed identity, when you provision your service, so when you request a service into Azure, whether it's Azure Data Factory, that implicitly that Azure Data Factory creates a system managed identity. It's called SAMI. So that has associated with the principal ID. So which is basically a GUID, which we can get to see in the next uh, video. And whereas in Azure Logic Apps, you could enable that service either to the system managed identity or user managed identity. So let's take an example with, we'll go with system managed identity in the first place. Then we will cover that in the UAMI in the later sessions. But like the same way when you talk about Azure App Service, so App Service also comes with identity. If you look at all three services, 1, 2, 3, if you see my pointer, and they all have a one commonality is identity. So that's where I think you can use the identity to has a workaround to get over with your secrets. That secrets can be either stored in the Azure KeyVault, which is more secure. When you left side, if you look at the Azure KeyVault, and KeyVault is managed with for three areas. You can store the keys, you can store the secrets, you can store the certificates as well. So in this series, I'm going to cover only the secrets. So where you store, like whether the secrets are meant for a connection string for SQL Server or your Azure Blob storage connection string. So all these two services they're consumed by either of the Logic App or Data Factory or App Services. They need the connection strings, but you don't want to store those connection strings in the either of these services or the app services. So which I will cover that in detail in the next session, but this is what I want to give a quick overview on this. And then so we'll break down this image into three different examples for each web app uh, service, Logic App, and then Data Factory, and then App Service. So I will cover that into a detailed section in the next coming session. Stay tuned.